you, and welcome back to the upgrade. Hey, Kate.
Hi.
Oh dear, satellite echo again. Let's try that again. Hi, Kate.
Hi.
Oh,
I promise
okay,
I'm saying it right after you do.
We're gonna have to play it very carefully today. We've got a great show for you today, despite the delays, the satellite delay, I should say. Some good news. We've actually got Damian here, who heads up our manufacturing partner P3. He's standing by. Is he in the green room? Damian, he's ready. He's ready now. We better be quick and bring him in just a second. He's going to talk through something actually very important to do with Magfast and actually to do with the entire world of commerce and manufacturing. Plus, Kate, what else have we got?
Secret word coming up. It is the 3 chances to win in our awesome monthly drawing. And you can win up to $1,000 electronics and some other special things, Magfast products. You just go to magfast.com/fun, and we'll give you a link to that. And please remember to subscribe and like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, and connect with us on LinkedIn, please.
Yes, smash all the buttons. All right. So the main topic we wanted to talk about today is something that I would have taken no interest in whatsoever a few years ago. It's called the global supply chain. But it critically affects this business, and it actually affects you watching this in your everyday life to a degree that you couldn't possibly imagine, or at least maybe you wouldn't have imagined until a couple of weeks ago, when this appeared on your screens, on your television screens, on your news websites, about this enormous container ship getting stuck in the Suez Canal. And each of those tiny little bricks that you're looking at there, right? Those tiny little, they look tiny in this picture, doesn't they? Each one of those is the size of one of those enormous trucks that you see going along the freeway, because it's a container ship, and the containers, they come off the back of the ship. And they hook it up to. So that's a huge amount of goods just on that one ship, and it was blocking the canal. And what was the amount they said, Kate? It was something like 15% of global commerce goes down the Suez Canal.
I know that it said at least 350 ships were waiting. I know that one, which was crazy.
Yeah. So just that, and the thing about that incident is that it happened to, it made the whole supply chain thing, like it brought it into the news in a very dramatic way at a time when behind the scenes, it's been becoming quite tough in the aftermath of COVID, because the situation, obviously country by country, the whole COVID situation is very, very different, right? Some countries have hardly got any vaccines, so they've barely started. America seems to be doing great on rolling out the vaccines. I think probably people are running just, I think people are going out and about a little early, and I fear that there may be another, hopefully small surge on the way at the moment. But long before the current situation, the vaccine started, there was this sort of build-up of problems related to COVID. A number of factors involved, but one of them was fewer workers available at the ports to unload the ships. Was a kind of a major factor within it, and also this big shift in people's behavior, going out less, consuming more at home. So one of the headlines, and we'll get one or two of these up on the screen. Maybe you can go through them with me, Kate. So and we'll put links to some of these underneath. If you're watching this at magfast.com. At the upgrade, we'll put links to one or two of these articles underneath. But here's some of the companies that have had problems. You want to take us through a couple of them, Kate?
Well, Peloton is having major, the backlog of orders because everyone is at home more, so they're exercising at home more, so everyone's needing exercise equipment at home, and so that's a huge one. And then I also know that Apple.
Well, let me jump in on Peloton for a second. When we've got like a 3-second delay here, folks, so our apologies on behalf of the technology gods. So Peloton's situation is lots of people at home ordering more Peloton stuff. In fact, I think waiting in the green room is a customer who's waiting for some Peloton stuff at the moment. But they also, so they've got increase in orders, but they've also at the supply end of it, they've in their latest accounts, their latest financial publishing, they've allocated, wait for this, $100 million to help improve the situation, not to solve the problem, but to improve the supply chain. Like they're flying heavy exercise bicycles across the earth instead of putting them in containers and so on. It's a crazy situation for Peloton. I'm sorry, I interrupted you, and you were about to talk about Apple, right? They're postponing some items, yeah?
Yes, Apple, they're having to postpone production on certain items. I know MacBook, they're having trouble with getting supplies for MacBooks. I don't know that they're having trouble with iPhone supply, unless you know better than I do. But
not iPhone at the moment, but I think yeah, MacBook and iPad. And we sometimes hidden figure. There's a movie called Hidden Figures, isn't there? Yeah.
Yes.
A hidden figure in this operation is Sharon McNair, who does all the video mixing behind the scenes. Sharon, can you pop in for just a second here? Is that okay? I know you don't normally come on screen.
I'm very not used to that. I line myself up.
And by the way, can we just do a welcome back round of applause for Sharon, who got hit with the COVID? She's been there, everybody.
It's real.
And it was really rough.
It was
for a
really
while,
rough.
Right?
Yeah. It wasn't what I expected.
Sharon, I spoke to her on like the second or third day, and she was like, "Now I understand why people are, why we're losing people to this." It was really so. It's great to have you back at your previous energy. Really. Okay, but the reason we called you in the room wasn't to be nice or anything. It was to ask you about you had a storm recently. Some siding blew off your house, and
some siding blew off my house. And when the contractor came, he had told us, "Okay, great, we want to work on this. We'll have to let you know when we have a vinyl siding available to fix it." So they're waiting on materials to actually do the job. So and they have no idea when that's going to be.
Yeah. And Sharon's husband works in the supply chain. He works with the folks at Home Depot on appliances, month-long delays on appliances. And we got a new dishwasher for the first time in 15 years. We got one late last year. It was 3 months, 4 months for a dishwasher. Yeah, crazy. Gosh. So there's a lot going on in the supply chain. Thank you, Sharon. She's working behind the scenes there. And the other thing about the little containers on the ships, the cost of them can be crazy. There's a company in New York, you might have heard of them, Baumessex. They were quoted recently saying they normally spend kind of $2,500 the cost of moving one of those containers across the globe. Currently paying $7,000. Another report I saw the other day about Ford, right? I think they said they couldn't get enough chips for everything that the computer chips, right, that are needed for the electronics. Couldn't get enough of those. So there's a lot of this stuff going on. 94% of Fortune 1000 companies. So that means 940 of the Fortune 1000 companies are seeing supply chain disruptions because of the aftermath of COVID. 75% of companies have had negative or strongly negative impacts on their businesses, and 55% plan to downgrade their growth outlooks or have already done so because of this. Now, Magfast has fared a little luckier than many of the things we've just told you so far, but is impacting us a little bit. And we want to be transparent with you. You're our family. We want to tell you what's going on. Best person to tell us about it is our beloved friend Damian Krause, who's the principal at P3, our main manufacturing partner, and he joins us now by electronic uplink from where are you, Damian, at the moment? And can you shift slightly to that way? There you go.
I wish, no problem. So thank you very much for having me again, Seymour.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming.
I'm in Connecticut. I sit in Connecticut, just outside of New York here. And so both of you explained pretty much the delays in finished goods. But what we need to understand, the reason why finished goods are delayed, because all finished goods contain a lot of components.
Yeah.
And actually, it all starts with the components. There's a huge shortage of components in the world right now, in the world market. Most components are built in China. They originate from China. And when companies like Apple have problems, who certainly have first dips into any of the components, you can imagine that it's other companies, smaller companies than Apple, really feel the effect. Again, we were somewhat fortunate that in our development, which is finished, and as I mentioned last time, we are starting to manufacture product now for Magfast, the Magfast products. We have many components on hand, so that's good. But obviously, we're selling by the day, and there is a high demand for more components to come in. So we will be somewhat affected, but again, I think we have it pretty much under control. You don't have to worry about anything here. But yeah, in my German friends, for example, they have even bigger problems based on the Suez Canal problem you just described, because containers are not supposed to sit. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want just for a little bit of context for folks who maybe weren't here when we introduced you last time. Damian's operation P3 has been manufacturing and sourcing typically mostly electronics for over 30 years. Right, so this is Magfast. Magfast as a company is a few years old. Our inventions, and I'm a kind of 6 or 7 year veteran of the industry on a limited number of products. Damian's done hundreds and hundreds of products over 30 years. So you've seen the supply chain kind of come and go, and global markets come and go through several cycles in that time. And I just wanted to give that context to folks as they hear you speak about it, because I'm curious, how does this feel compared to other ebbs and flows in the supply chain?
Yeah, so we manufacture our products in China, Taiwan, Korea, Vietnam also, and I can tell you, in over 30 years, nobody has experienced anything like that. This is just clearly the most challenging in terms of supply chain. It affects the whole world, and it affects virtually most products. It affects also the furniture industry, and as Sharon just mentioned, even siding. So it's not just, but we obviously talk about electronic products, and again, because many products share components, the problem originates at the component level. And if you build a product and there's only one component which you miss, which you can't get, you can't manufacture the product.
Let's pick up on that point. So Ford, if anybody has the advantages, it's these enormous companies. So Ford is currently building entire trucks that then go and sit out in the lot because they're missing a chip that is essentially the size of your thumbnail or your fingernail. So when they can get the chips, they can stick them in the trucks and ship them out. But in the meantime, they cannot. The trucks don't work without the chip. All right. And when I jumped in just now, Damian, you were just about to give an example of one of your partners back in Germany, right?
Yeah. And so he has a factory in China, he does a very big factory, 6,000 workers, and develops and manufactures really high-tech home automation products, electronic products. And on some of those products and some of the components, custom-made components, the waiting time is now 12 months. So he's fortunate enough that he also stocked up on parts. But when I said to him, 12 months, he said, Damian, you have no idea how backlogged these factories are. Yeah. So it started with COVID, but again, we are very lucky because through our connections, we have planned early. As we all know, the development of the Magfast products took a long time, and that has mostly something to do with Seymour's never being happy and content enough with whatever quality we produce. And I proud myself that we produce quite good quality, but Seymour truly is only accepting the best, the 110% quality in a product. So that took us a long time, but I can tell you the manufacturing of the products will not take us 12 months. So like my friend is experiencing on some of his products. So we don't have that kind of delays, obviously. So it's all good at the Magfast level, as good as it possibly could be under the circumstances.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I just thought I thought it was worth doing an episode of The Upgrade that just talked about this a little bit, to give you a little bit of background of what like if you're trying to get some siding or a dishwasher or whatever, and you're on buying something maybe online at Amazon or whatever that you typically expect to arrive in 2 days, and it's saying we don't know when this will be in stock again, or kind of we're expecting new supplies in July. I saw for some simple cable or something the other day. So that's what's going on behind the scenes. We have had there's a couple of things that are tough for us. The exchange rate has gone in completely the wrong direction. Just at the point where we're trying to lower costs, we've got increased costs. What's the overall shift in exchange rate in the last few months, Damian?
Close to 10%. Well, in a year, close to 10% in the last year.
Yeah. So 10%. That means everything's costing. Independent of everything else we've just discussed, something that previously cost $10 now costs $11. In terms of the COGS, we call it, the COGS, the cost of goods sold. So that's so there's a series of very, very challenging pieces. But amidst all of this, the three people sitting before you now, dear viewer, are unable to shake their optimism, are we? Because as the products are starting to come off, and let's just summarize where we are. We explained to you before, because of getting it right, starting the cutting of the. And by the way, if you haven't watched the previous upgrades where you see us cutting the tools, do go back and take a look at some of those. It's kind of amazing to see these tools, the molds actually being made. But the tools for Life and for Extreme are now complete. The first shells, the first components are now coming off of that. The first tiny manufacturing run, because in fact, let's talk about that for a second, Damian. We're building tools with an ultimate capacity of 1 million units, right? This is something as a point I've made before. So when we make this, the reason we get the tool right, the tool that can make Life is capable of making 1 million units of Life with a retail value of, I guess, $100 million. So we have to get the tool right. But you don't start off by making 1 million, and you don't even start off by making 1,000. You start off by making a tiny, tiny number of products to make sure that the manufacturing process is smooth, right? So we're doing these very small runs of a few dozen at the moment. Test them, make sure everything's right, and I can reveal now that from the first few dozen we get, a tiny number, like vanishingly small number of our very earliest customers, we're going to ask them to take a look, see what they think, give us feedback. Maybe if you love it, put it up on social media or whatever. And then once we're happy with all of that, we're gonna ramp it up. We're keeping to the original promise from when we first launched. We're going to do something really, really special. We're going to get it right. And it's, as we say, it's taken a good bit longer than expected, but we're really thrilled. And we actually can I explain the test result? We got a test result just before we came into the studio now, to do with Extreme, where we're testing the battery for Extreme, and it did 33 consecutive jump starts of a large truck with its battery completely disconnected. So 33 in a row. Now, in the real world, that isn't quite how you'd use it, but still, a big truck jump started 33 times in a row with its own battery disconnected was like shocking even to me. What else, Damian? What's the prognosis going forward? I mean, if you were a betting man, when do you think the global supply chain comes back to normal?
I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't know. And that's a question everybody's asking oneself. We don't know. I like to add something else. As you know, a year ago, so there is something in the component and parts world which is called long lead time parts. And there have always been long lead time parts. And as you know, a year ago, I called you and I said, listen, we need to order some long lead time parts because before the crisis hit, we, with the foresight we have and the experience we have, we did actually order some long lead time parts related to the Apple tip, for example. Because what our viewers might not know, the Apple tip had always a little longer lead time than regular components. And what we are using in our products is what's called MFI, meaning Apple, an approved tip by Apple. We are not using, as many manufacturers do. You can find many of those products on Amazon, just some copies of an Apple tip. We're using the MFI Apple approved tip. And that had a long lead time. We ordered this part. We are in very good shape because this part today probably has a lead time of 8 to 12 months. So we have all these parts in stock. Again, through the crisis now, there were other parts which became long lead time parts. So we ordered them as well. Some take a little longer than others. But because of the foresight we had a year ago, we are in decently good shape. I mean, clearly we have challenges. There's no question. I couldn't say that we are the company with no challenges, but I think we are in decently good shape compared to others. So
thank you. Well, it's in huge measure thank you to you, and to our other fan favorite Sean, who has joined us in the last couple of weeks to show some stuff. Damian, thanks so much for coming in to do this for us. Will you return again soon, please? Because the feedback we get when you come in and Sean comes in, and the feedback we get is basically is all Sean, you, and Kate.
Yeah.
So, I like to reverse the sequence. It's Kate, Sean. But we did say
people love you, Damian.
How come his name didn't come up? Maybe we should leave him out in future.
Yeah, no, really.
All right.
I'm just my job is to provide the context for you guys to. Damian and I have worked together for 7 or 8 years now, famously on the project before this that made this one possible, yes. And many folks are still using that charger today, including you, I think, Damian, and me, and we hear all the time, and they say I use it every day. So. Yeah, you as well. Yeah. So, and we think we're doing something kind of 100 times better now. So, God bless you, Damian. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Damian.
I think that give him a round of applause. I think that just about wraps it up for this week. Although we need to do the secret word. Thank you. Bye, Damian. Do you have a secret word for us, Kate?
Yes, I do, and it is worldwide. One word, worldwide.
Worldwide because of the global worldwide supply chain, right? So worldwide, one word, worldwide. one
yes.
world, one word, yeah, worldwide. Yeah. So, and please like and connect and smash and tweet along the buttons below. Thank you very much. There's been, and I want to thank everybody who's done that over the last few weeks, because we're getting a much better following together there. It's an important thing for us to build. Kate, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for working with us on this.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us to watch the upgrade. Here we are together with Damian and Kate, doing everything we can to change charging for good.
Great.